Ready Check Radio. What's up, Internet? It's Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio, it's time for the the cough. It totally threw me. The Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix podcast. As always, we're doing the show live. I'm Mike Byrne, your host. If you're watching on YouTube, watching on ReadyCheckRadio.com, listening on iTunes, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, any of those places, and you get a chance, come on over, twitch.tv, and search us out. If you need to know where, ReadyCheckRadio.com has all the socials in the upper right-hand corner. While you're there on any platform, give us a like, a subscribe, throw a comment in there. Let us know what you're thinking about on some of the Final Fantasy XIV or Square Enix topics that we'll be discussing today with my illustrious co-hosts. It's easy, it's fast, and it's the cheapest, in fact, freest way to support what we do here. And if you like it, tell a friend. Joining me today, Mr. Chris Montoya, a.k.a. Tarkoth. What's up, sir?
Greetings, programs. It's been a fabulous week, and I'm very encouraged that you have a direct line to Yoshi P to hash out those Black Mage PvP changes.
Yeah. Let me just get him on the cell phone.
Yeah,
get him
on
the
last
cell
Relic
phone.
Grind. He's like, we can't. Mike's disappointed in Black Mage. Let me get with them and get that fixed.
Yeah, we're also going to talk about Summoner a little bit when we get to, because I'm just totally befuddled by the Summoner PvP change. But we'll get to it with Mr. Adam Lane. What's up, Kronos?
I think it was more Yoshi P finally played PvP himself.
Yeah, I mean,
realized
this is bad.
He does main the old Black Mage. Before we get into anything, though, we need the updates. Kronos, we'll start with you. How's Ultimate Prog going?
Yeah, really good. Again, I'm like super proud of my group. We only raid like 7 hours a week, which is by comparison pretty low for like most like more hardcore-ish groups, I guess. But we're on ice. We're on Nidhogg ice. So almost to super Thornton.
Nice. What about you, Tark?
Not so good. We've had so much turnover in our roster that we keep having regression. But I've seen first Nidhogg /Estinian /Kyle. I am named Kyle. So a little bit of prog.
So are you guys like on a break right now, or have you replenished the ranks and you're good to go?
It's just every single day seems to be something comes up. Like we have to replace someone, or a water heater breaks, or someone's 3080 blows up in their computer and we got to replace them. It's just been never ending. So good time.
Well, I mean, you might be doing better than Hironobu Sakaguchi. Like you might be doing better. The man, the myth, the legend himself, still continuing his adventure through Eorzea, did tweet out a little picture that he was heading to Dragon Song Reprise Ultimate, and then that was it. That was all we heard. Later, we got some tweets on his first clear in the new 24-person Alliance raid. So
I don't think he lasted long.
Yeah, I'm assuming like it didn't go well. For the hey, I'm going in here. Yeah, we totally cleared the 24 Alliance raid. Totally cleared it. Kronos didn't come back, didn't say, hey, this is really hard, enjoying it. Like he said nothing.
If he stepped foot in there, that means at least he cleared Hesperos.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true.
I didn't really see that, which is cool. I mean, that's good. Yeah, Ultimates are no joke, man. They're no joke, especially on content. Like they're hard enough, and then when you do them on content, it's just a little bit harder. And yeah, so I'm not surprised. I think even the article kind of undersells it a little bit too. They're like, oh yeah, it typically takes days to kill. It takes days to kill if you're like the best players in the world. It takes
it takes days to kill as far as a world first race goes. That's like World of Warcraft, right? It takes days to kill. Well, yeah, for 8 guilds across the entire globe. Yeah, maybe, sure, I got you. And even then, it took. What it was this time around? It was just hours shy of a full week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So even then, it was close. Hopefully, we'll get some more updates from him on that one. Like he keeps sharing his adventures, which I just find like absolutely fascinating. Right? Just like
Sure.
watching Hironobu Sakaguchi go through 14, and like he cleared Endwalker like early this year, back in January, and so he was like, his progress has just been like amazing. But I mean, he's also the father of Final Fantasy, so like
I would love
if he wants some time to sit there and play Final Fantasy, he can get it.
I would love to see his tier list of all the Final Fantasies.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a little interesting. I don't think that would ever happen.
That would be awesome.
But it would just be like tied for first every one he was involved in, and then tied for second every one that he wasn't involved in. And then you can't blame him. You can't be mad, right? You can't be mad at a tier list like that. Just 2 tiers. What's your favorite? Tark, is it still 4?
Yeah, it's going to be 4.
Yeah. That's your S tier.
7 remake has the potential, depending on how the second and third parts pan out. But 4 is currently my favorite. It was my first. Such fond memories.
You always remember.
When we replayed it here on Ready Check Radio a couple of months back, it was just chef's kiss. Was good.
Yeah, it's
minus the chip.
You always remember your first. Remember your first. Kronos 6.
No, it's 7. Still 7.
Still 7. The original 7 though.
Yeah, I'm an OG fan. I have a few here, though. I think 6 belongs up there too.
Yeah, I'm like a 6 and an 11. Like obviously 14 is my favorite currently at the moment to play, but like all time, it's like 11 and 6 are right there for me. Probably 11 edging it out. Speaking of 14, though, we've got a new patch, 6.11 alpha. Not a lot here, obviously. Most of this was what we expected to happen after 6.11, after we got Crystalline Conflict, was that shit got to be balanced. Like, that shit has to be balanced a bit. We teased it a little bit earlier. Obviously, I was feeling like Black Mage was not in a great spot. And if you look at the adjustments for PvP, apparently many, including some Square Enix employees, agreed with me. By far, the Black Mage has the most actual individual adjustments. Lots of duration increases, both for Astral Fire 2 and Umbral Ice 2. Lots of potency increases. Like Black Mage, I haven't had a chance to mess with it since 6.11a Kronos, but Black Mage by far was like, hey, you're not doing so hot. Let's throw a bunch of things down on you here.
I played it a couple days ago, actually. It's pretty cracked now. Yeah. I think Summoner's the worst caster now. Funny enough, even though you were mentioning it earlier about like it got buffs too. Because Red Mage is still king to me, at least in Crystalline Conflict. It's just too good. Even after, like, I think they got another nerf, but it doesn't matter. They're just too hard to kill. Black Mages, though, like, you can't let them live anymore. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, they do become a priority 1 target. Specifically, their Nightwing buffs really make them a priority 1 target, Tark, with half asleep. Now also reducing movement speed by 50%. The duration was cut a little bit, to be fair, from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. And the sleep duration has also been cut from 4 to 3. But that half movement speed just makes Nightwing pretty damn sick.
It's annoying as all hell. I don't like Black Mages. Kill them.
So here's the thing, though. We'll talk about your classes, like your individual classes, white mages and stuff, and sages and stuff like that in a second. But you mentioned Summoner, Kronos, and honestly, prior to 6.11, Summoners have been just like running roughshod all over the joint, just like causing chaos, doing their thing, being annoying, being strong. And now you mentioned that you don't feel that they've been surpassed by some of these changes. But Summoner literally just got straight buffs.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, Slipstream's potency is increased, Radiant Aegis, his damage reduction has been increased, and the barrier potency increased. Mountain Buster potency increase, Revelation potency increase. For what was arguably, we've seen squads of just like straight Summoners when I queue up, and they're just having a freaking blast.
In Frontline, they're ridiculous.
They're broken in front. Everything's been broken in Frontline, though, to be fair, since Crystalline Conflict, because
they need to fix the Paladin exploit, honestly. That's a big problem. I don't know how much y'all play Frontline, but Paladins being able to cover the target who's capturing a point and you can't do anything about it
Oh.
is really bad. Um,
Oh.
so that's been in since they've implemented all these changes, and as people learn that it's a thing, more people just end up doing it. It's bad. But other than that, yeah, like summoners are already like crazy good, especially when you stack them in frontline. When you get to Crystalline Conflict, it's a bit more map dependent. I think on the volcano map, they're very scary because you're in these like little tight corridors, and they can put slipstream, and now the slipstream's buffed. It's pretty insane. I think for me, it's just red mage was so dumb that you're almost like hampering yourself a little bit by playing summoner. And now it's a bit more even. I think you could argue black mage and summoner are about even. The last buff though is kind of whatever. No one's summoning Phoenix. It's all Bahamut all the time.
Oh
Very,
yeah.
very
Oh
rarely
yeah.
summon Phoenix.
Red Mage, really they just had a damage reduction change from 20% to 10% on Korra Core. So yeah, still a beast, still beast mode. So I'm feeling a little better. My Black Mage got buffs. My Red Mage is still up there. I haven't done a ton as Red Mage yet, but I did by far enjoy Red Mage in Crystalline Conflict way over Black Mage. I can't wait to try some of these changes. Tark, what about some of the classes you've been rolling with, your main, and some of your favorites to run in PvP? Taking a look at the changes, anything good, anything bad on the board, making you happy or sad?
I'm sad that my Sage hasn't gotten a buff. It needs it. It's so.
What are you
so
talking
sad.
about? What are you talking about? Your Sage needs a buff. Get the hell out of here.
I want to be broken. Come on. I haven't had a nerf or a buff this whole time. Jesus.
Yeah, you can kind of tell that they were like, yeah, our two new classes are pretty dope. We're gonna leave those two alone. like remember the first update was like Kronos was, hey, we got to bring everything up to par. This was back in PvP, like in the first couple of weeks after Endwalker and everything, where it was like, yeah, we're gonna bring everything up to Reaper and to Sage because everything else is kind of lagging behind. And you still see that in 611A here, where it's like Reaper and Sage, yeah, you ain't getting shit. You're fine the way you are. We're still fixing everybody else.
I think there's still a balance problem, but the hype has died down a little bit. So, but White Mage is still ridiculous. I think my personal thought is that they're just waiting for the next big patch to make sweeping changes, because White Mage is still insane.
Yeah, well, White Mage got no love and no debuffs here either. To be fair,
yeah, if they got anything but a nerf, it would have been like Polymorph's still the best CC. It's ridiculous. They still have like the best LB on the fastest cooldown, basically. Like only Black Mage is faster, and Black Mage doesn't innately do damage with their LB. It's more like a self buff. So
yeah,
it's it's still, I think White Mage is still a problem. But
well, they did tease in the patch notes that there are going to be further adjustments made,
sure.
particularly for action functionality in 615. So
Yeah,
not all that far away.
I assume that's when the rank season will reset too, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's supposed to. Yeah, the halfway point.
Yeah, all in all, I mean, decent changes. Crystalline Conflict. So we do see the first kind of, and we pegged this. We pegged this early that there could be problems the way that they were doing ranking up. We see our first change to actual Crystalline Conflict ranked mode in 611A, and that is that players that are in the Crystal tier can now also be matched up with players who are Diamond 3 and have at least one Rising Star or more. So we start to see, initially they were trying to, the way we read it, we were like, wow, so you're like really segregated in your ranks. There is no bridging from one rank to another, particularly once you got to Crystal. Now, okay, these queues might be a little slow. Let's kind of leak in some of the Diamond 3s that have a Rising Star or more into matches so that our Crystal players queue them up a little bit. I honestly think we're going to see more changes to ranked entirely as we go on over the course of like the next 6 months here.
So this is actually the reverse of what you think it is, by the way.
Yeah. I explained it in reverse. My bad.
Yeah. Because Crystal people were getting paired with Diamond 5s.
Yeah.
And a lot of Diamond 5 players were like, hey, what the hell? I just got into Diamond, and now you're pairing me against like this dude who's like 50th ranked. How am I supposed to win? So they kind of took that away. So now you have to at least be like midway through Diamond to get paired up against a Crystal. So it's actually like less players. But I agree. I think they're still going to have to think more along the line of what you're saying. Because, I mean, even me, I'm playing a lot less PvP. But that's just mainly because it's not fun. It's just I'm logging and doing ultimates a lot and doing other stuff. But I still PvP, just not as much as I was when the patch. I think they are going to have to address it.
I think they're going to have to address a lot of things. A lot of things in the way the entire ranked mode works. And we had these questions, Tark, when we first saw the full patch notes explaining how the ranked modes were going to work, and degradation and cross rank play when you hit the borders of each of the different ranks. Like, we had all of these concerns, and they weren't addressed, or spoken to, I should say. And now we're going to start to. We already see one. I think this is just going to continue to happen over the course of the next 6 months, because this is the time right now where, how are your queues, boys? How are your queues when you pull up?
Okay.
They're still fine.
They're still
30,
fine.
45 seconds. Yeah. No, not.
They're still fine. So we've still got people doing their thing. Will we a month from now? Will we 2 months from now? And obviously new seasons will help, right? They'll help an early influx of players for a few weeks. But once you've gotten the rewards you want, the rank you want, the armor you want, whatever you're after, is it the mode that's keeping you there, or is the mode just fun enough, Tark, for you to want to go and get the rewards that you really want? Which is your driving motivation to do Crystalline Conflict? The mode being badass? Or, hey, I'm cool with the mode and I want these prizes. How much am I going to play after I get these prizes? What is it for you personally?
For me personally, it's the prizes. So I've actually left a little bit of my series still. And that's going to go all the way through season number 2. So I'm interested in people that have completely finished their series, gotten all the rewards, all the trophy crystals and the cool glamour. Are they going to come back for season 2, even though there's no series to work on? I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. And I think we'll watch the next 6 months. Also, in the patch notes, players no longer being logged out automatically after 30 minutes of inactivity.
Hooray!
All areas, including the firmament. So no more of the queue login timer issue and bouncing people out. And the lottery fix that went in on the 16th seems to have done its job. They're happy with things, and the next housing lottery actually queues up tomorrow.
I'll give it a try.
So, are you gonna try?
I'm gonna try.
Gonna try. Yeah, I mean, good luck, man. Good luck. Resolved issues really didn't seem to be anything that I thought was, just some Paladin PvE stuff.
I actually noticed that when I was leveling my Paladin.
Yeah, it was
Like, what the hell?
It was a leveling issue.
What was going on?
You lose the wreck buff before your last Holy Spirit, so it's unbuffed.
Yeah.
Because once you're 80, you get Confiteor there anyways. And they didn't think about that, obviously, when they made the change to how wreck. I think they made the change in 6.1. Or maybe it was like 6.05, whatever. But
It was early 6.0. I was working on Paladin then. I was like, what the hell? My last Holy Spirit is not getting a potency buff. And it looked like it was an order of operations kind of thing. Aristocrat, used its last stack to make it instant cast, but then Holy Spirit didn't see the buff to give it its potency. So
Gotcha. Not all tech issues have been addressed, though, right? So we've got the housing lottery. That's fixed. Well, I mean, they believe it's fixed. We'll see when it kicks off tomorrow if there's any prevailing bugs. We've got the login timer now being removed back to normal, so you can stand in your house for 45 minutes and not have to worry about getting bounced off.
24 hours, however long.
Right, 20. Why not? Whatever you want to do. No more 30 minutes. But The team still continues to get inundated with reports as of 6.1, particularly in Japan, but also elsewhere in the world, that there is huge experience network issues. You have packet loss, lag, network loss, things like that. Obviously, we mentioned these in the context of PvP, Kronos, a few episodes ago, and input lag and things like that as far as the performance when we were in there. But still not quite. Now, there is an issue in Japan, very specific to Japan, that may be interfering with this, and that's some issues with the internet service providers in Japan, having issues with high congestion of networks and things like that. And Square Enix is reaching out to actual ISPs in Japan to try and work things out or help or assist in any way there. But as far as maybe other places in the world, Square really needs your help if you're going to report these, because they aren't seeing these issues on their dev environments. They're just not seeing these issues in their systems. So Yoshi P took to the lodestone and put together a beast of a post for you. If you are one of those that are being impacted by things like this, they feel that there is a packet loss issue at play here, and they give you like a 5-step process on gathering a ton of different information that will help them find this, including running some trace routing on your IP and stuff like that. The only time I've really noticed any type of performance issue myself was in Crystalline Conflict, in those early, 2 weeks after the patch had dropped. You guys are, ultimates and stuff like that are instanced. You generally don't have that type of issue in there. It's 8 players and a boss, and you're in your own little private instance. But are you seeing it elsewhere, outside of PvP? Are you seeing it in the smaller instance-based content like ultimates? Are you seeing issues with performance?
This has been a problem for a long time. If you want to go
Oh,
first,
yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It
I have
has.
a very long answer, but if you want to go first, Tark.
I'll just say a short answer. Yes, I have. Not me personally, but 2 people in my ultimate group are continuously having lag issues. They've reset their routers. They've checked with their ISP. Everything seems good, but they continue to have just the rubber banding issues. They'll start somewhere, they'll think they've dodged it, but then their body's dead and they shoot across the room. So it's a little bit frustrating. That's another one of the issues that we're having is lag with 2 people.
Shades of the original landslide.
Yeah, times.
Good times. And there, what's unfortunate too, and Kronos, you're going to speak to your experiences too. This is one of those things that there's just so many variables, right? Like one person, like myself, have I ever had lag or rubber banding here and there? Of course I have. Of course I have. Has it been enough for me to remember a specific example lately in the last 6 months or a year? No, it hasn't. I've been on the fortunate end of the spectrum. But Kronos, it seems like maybe you haven't.
So it's very, like you said, there's a lot of variables, right? I think it's more noticeable when you play certain classes, or jobs. I think it's more noticeable depending on where you are, depending on the server, especially EU people that play with NA statics, stuff like that. I think that the ping that Square Enix says is like, oh, you could play at this ping, this is playable, I think is kind of incorrect personally. Especially a job like machinist. It's if you play machinist, already good on you because it's a rough time right now. But say you do, you better live on the server, because it also depends on how much you actually care about your job performance too. Because some people just don't care, and that's fine.
Yeah, because it does on your general player, they're probably right.
Correct,
Right?
yeah,
On
yeah,
your
they
just
don't
average player.
care. Yeah.
On somebody that's, when I'm running things as a black mage and I'm spell clipping and stuff, that's where you're really going to notice this.
Yeah, even Paladin too, to an extent, where it's you're trying to prog the ultimate, right? You're trying to push damage because damage checks are hard in that fight. And you're missing your second goring blade inside your buff. Machinist, you're only getting 4 hits in your wild charge or your wildfire. That stuff feels really bad. and that's why you have people using other things to try to get a better experience for
You
doing
will
that.
be banned. You will be banned.
So like
Don't use those things.
I actually think those.
Don't tell people you use those things.
Yeah, just to like touch on it slowly because I don't want to get into that anymore.
Don't
but, like,
stream using those things.
I think those things have caused this issue to come up to be more relevant because I think they realize they have to address it now. Because if they're just gonna like also ban people for that, like they need to like kind of fix it. And I do agree it's more noticeable in PvP when like you're fighting with another person and you try to hit your cleanse and then you just get
Right.
stuck.
Well, I mean, because at that point you've doubled in a one-on-one scenario, right? You have doubled the packet transfer, right?
Yeah.
What I'm sending to the server needs to then go from the server to Tarkoth's screen, and what he does needs to go from his screen to the server and back to my screen. So you've doubled the traffic as opposed to like a PvE boss fight. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. I mean, we're still, unfortunately, on the spine of a lot of version 1.0 stuff. You know, like it or not, A Realm Reborn is just built. It's been improved, absolutely, over the last 8 years. But, as we've said before here, that technical debt catches up to you if you don't get rid of it. I mean, we're already talking about a potential graphic engine increase or upgrade for this game that's 8 years old if you look at the 2.0 version. And, yeah, we probably should be talking about architecture, mass changes in original baseline spine architecture, which they have made some, but you got to appreciate that is a massive undertaking, Tark. When you talk about that is just switching engines is a huge, complicated task for any game to pull off, much less one as big and as player heavy as Final Fantasy XIV is.
I am actually amazed about this post. Like, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of info. Like, how many people did he get help from to put all this down? Because like even me, I'm like, wow, that's what?
What
That's
some
like
of the
IT
some
support? IT support.
I looked at that
101.
instantly, do, but that's just because I'm in that field.
exactly, yeah.
It's like networking stuff.
I was like, yeah, that's all the stuff you'd gather. Yeah. Particularly if you couldn't recreate it, create it. So what's the play here? Like, I don't want to compare it to Final Fantasy XI, right? Those are in two totally different ball games on why they may or may not get different updates to certain things. But with the amount of money that the game brings in, and Takal just kind of jumped ahead of me on the question here, so chat's going in the same direction that my brain is. Is there a time where you bite the bullet, or do you just sit there and wait for Final Fantasy XIV 2? Because at some point that has to happen too. Obviously, it may not be called 2 and a sequel and all that stuff, but
Yeah, didn't Yoshi P say Final Fantasy 20? We'll name it Final Fantasy 20 at some point.
Well, he hates the name
at that
14. Yeah, like he hates the name 14. He's like, at some point we're going to have to do something about it because it won't make sense. He's like, it barely makes sense now to be called Final Fantasy 14. So I don't know. Do you sink the money into this, or do you have another team off in the background that is already developing Final Fantasy's next MMO, which could potentially just be a continuation of the 14 stuff? What's the play here?
I think with him saying that they've basically got a 10-year plan, I think you got to bite the bullet and really lay the foundations to be relevant in 10 years. So engine.
But couldn't the 10-year plan just be like, hey, we're going to retire this in 4 years and push it to this
nice
new
to
version?
know.
Like,
on the
he didn't say you were going to like the 10-year plan.
Like, hey, by the way, this is the 11th expansion pack. This is it. After this, it's Final Fantasy 20 or whatever. That would be, nice to know at an expansion ahead. But I think if you got 10 years, I think you need to make it relevant in these next 10 years then. And then you go from there.
Kronos?
See, here's why I'm like arguing with myself too, to a point, because I'd love to see this get fixed because I think it affects people that are like. I think it affects more raiders in the PvE sense, but PvP. If they want PvP to truly be like really really good, they got to fix it. But my gut tells me they're not. I think that it's great that they're acknowledging it. I think this would be a shit ton of work to
Oh,
fix.
no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
Because this would change the server tick thing as we know it, right? Like everybody knows. If you play Final Fantasy for a good amount of time, people typically know what like the server tick is, even if they like use it in the wrong context or whatever. But that's just how the game functions, and this would change that, which would change so much just about how the game works. Which, I mean, engine change is probably pretty accurate. I mean, that's a lot. I don't think that it would. They need to do this to keep their game relevant, though. Like, I think the game's very relevant right now, and I think you could sweep this under the rug, and most people probably wouldn't care.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they're acknowledging it. I think at least they're being like, hey, we see the problem that you're seeing. We're gonna try to do some stuff, maybe make it a bit more responsive, but I don't foresee them changing the entire architecture. I think we're gonna still be on this server tick. I think you're gonna see like more like decreased animation type stuff to deal with that, and more stuff on the charge. Like the addition of the charges to moves is their way to mitigate this, right? Like that's why you see like blood weapons on stacks and inner releases on stacks and delirium is on stacks. So I think eventually you're just gonna see like machinist is gonna have stacks, fight or flight's gonna have stack. It's just gonna that I think that's gonna be the change you see as opposed to like the server tick.
Yeah. We shall see. We shall see. Hey, you can play 14 on your Steam Deck now. Well, kind of. Kind of. Remember, there was an update back in March that basically borked the game, an update to the launcher, I should say, that kind of borked the game on your Steam Deck if you wanted to play it on there. Now, Valve is saying that is fixed. Proton 7.0.2 should fix the issue. That's still in final testing, so it's not technically fixed, but yeah. So I still have not gotten the email on my Steam Deck.
Oh, sad panda.
Still have not gotten it. Makes me sad.
One.
I don't think
I wants to lay in bed and do gathering from there.
No, I don't think I'd play 14 on it, actually. Like, would you? Would you play 14 on the go? We just talked about its performance issues. I can't imagine what they would be like on the go.
I wouldn't raid on it.
Would I? I would definitely do it. Would it be enjoyable? Probably not. But I definitely would do it if I had one. I would probably be like doing what Tark said. I'd be gathering probably like downstairs or something.
Yeah, I just do that on my consoles. That's the only reason I keep the software updated on all the platforms. Check these out, guys. Eorzea Cafe, which is already cool, right? The Eorzea Cafe is pretty badass. So the cafe in Kyoto and Nagoya, they're going to have capsule hotels for a little while. So the Eorzea Cafe, the Kyoto location is going to have 6. Nagoya will have 12. And they will be running for certain dates from June 15th through August 31st. Reservations begin on June 1st. What you're looking at here is the Yulmore-inspired room. Look at all the art and stuff. So, like, all of these rooms will always be, like, themed and have art and characters and stuff. So you've kind of got Yulmore there on the right-hand side, the aetherite crystal. Then we've got the other side of the room here. Whoops. Is this it? Yeah, that's it. Where we see the more, like, there's Hein. It looks like it's Hein over there on the far left, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's all the Stormblood stuff as well. I mean, these look so cool. There's going to be a fortune, right? Like, yeah. They are not going to be cheap. They are not going to be cheap at all.
We need an official, like, 30-story Final Fantasy hotel in Las Vegas. And each floor is one of the games, 1, 2, 3, and then what floor, what theme you're kind of getting. That'd be dope.
Never gonna happen.
So the Kyoto location has 2 themes. They have Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood and the Garlean Empire. And then the Nagoya location will have the Crystarium, Yulmore, Ilmag, Amarong, the Raktika Greatwood, and the Tempest. So tons of themes, different collages around both of those themes, characters, artwork. that type of stuff. Those who stay at one of the capsule hotels during the collaboration period will also be given a special keychain. I just want the damn keychain now. That's just that. Like, I don't need to go to the. Just give me the damn keychain. Right? Yeah. Well, let me just head on over. And while I'm there, pick up an $11,000 Final Fantasy VI statue. While I'm there, Kronos already shaking his head.
That's why FOMO's a problem. You're just like, let me go stay at that hotel for a keychain.
I don't want to stay at the hotel. Just give me the keychain. Just somebody go stay at the hotel and mail me the keychain.
This is why $300 statues have orchestrion roles and minions.
Yeah, Thorverisk is right, by the way. Like, it's going to end up being expensive, which does defeat the point of a capsule hotel room. Like, that totally defeats the point.
I actually don't even think it looks comfortable to me, but that might be like a cultural thing. I'm sure it is. I don't even know if I'd want it. It's a cool idea, but I need more room than that. And I'm a small guy, and I feel like I need more room than that.
Before we leave 14, because we are going to cross into some other Square Enix stuff, do want to talk about Yoshi P. He's been doing a ton of interviews, like in and around Final Fantasy XI, for the We Are Vanadiel site and all that type of stuff. But so he did share a story that I thought was kind of fun this week, where like the first project he ever worked at for Square got canceled. So he was like womp womp. So like he was an Enix guy. And then during the buyout, they reviewed the project he was working on that was going to be PC. And then they said Square was like, no, we want it for the PS2. And so they changed it and started to rework it for the PlayStation 2. And then all of a sudden, like Square started putting a bunch of different demands on the project. And it ended up getting canceled. So I just thought it was a cute story.
Sounds very Square Enix.
Oh, definitely, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Could you imagine, hey, we're designing this for the PC, and they're like X years or months into development, and they're like, oh, do it for the PS2. And you're like, wait, have you seen the memory available on that? Like, we were making this for PC, friendos. That's going to be a little tough. Moving on, though, it is the 35th anniversary of Final Fantasy, so we have the reveal of the logo. What do you think, Tark?
Pretty awesome. It's a logo.
You dig the Warrior of Light, the horny Warrior of Light.
Horny Warrior of Light. He's the first. He's the mainstay. That and the crystal.
Yep. I do like it. Very Amano. We also have another anniversary we're going to talk about in a second. We've got the 35th for Final Fantasy as a franchise. So we're probably going to be seeing a bunch of announcements throughout the year. We are expected, and I thought maybe we would see it before the show, but we didn't. We are expecting to also see Final Fantasy IX animated series news this week as well, to have it revealed. Now, the thought was that we would see it at the licensing expo. That is technically still running, though. So that could happen like in the next 12 to 18 hours. We could get information on it. Or hell, I mean, it could happen while we're recording this right now, in which case there's news. Go look it up. We'll talk about it next week. While I love Final Fantasy getting into anything that puts it in front of more eyes, right? More people liking your game is good for your game. Whether or not you agree on how good the game is or features are doesn't really matter. But I still don't know about this one, gents. I still don't know about it. I mean, they already said it's going to skew towards a younger audience, like that 8 to 13 crowd. And I just feel like you probably could have picked a better Final Fantasy to go after that crowd with. Because if you even remotely come near the storyline of Final Fantasy IX, it's dark as fuck. It's dark. It is a dark storyline.
I think 9 works, personally. I mean, I don't know, man.
9 works aesthetically.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know. I think that matters more because you can have a cartoon, it'll aesthetically appeal to children, and you can still have like some adult themes that maybe will go over a child's head. And that's kind of what I see. Maybe that's not what happens.
Really? Like a clone realizing their mortality and that they eventually will die?
Did you watch the Batman animated series that came out in like 1992?
I did.
Okay, that was marketed toward children.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely loved it.
and
That was good
there
shit.
is some wild stuff in that when
Uh-huh.
I go back and watch as an adult today, I'm like, man, how did they get away with that? And of course, today you would not, but like, I still think you get away with a little bit. But I think not.
I
I
don't
mean, the main
know.
character has a tail, man. Like, it works. Steiner already looks like a cartoon character.
He does. I mean, and he's definitely going to be the comic relief here. Poor
Yeah.
Steiner. Like, if his character wasn't already boned enough, it's gonna be even worse, Tark. Plus, it's also like, if you obviously we're getting a lot of Final Fantasy VII stuff right now, right, Tark? It is like the renaissance of Final Fantasy VII with the part 1 of the remake, and then we're gonna get some the Ever Crisis stuff, and then we got the Battle Royale on the mobile, and we're getting a lot of Final Fantasy TCG cards right now, and starter decks are skewing to I said category 7. That's right, but they're skewing to Final Fantasy VII for the marketing blitz. I totally get that. But like if I said, hey, 1 through 15, Tark, animated series, 8 episodes, what game do you make it based on? I don't know if 9 even cracks my top 3. Particularly if I give you the caveat of targeting 8 to 13-year-olds.
Yeah. Well, which ones would you do? Maybe.
I
That's
think
tough.
5. I think 5 is probably.
I think you
Five
do
is
5.
five.
5 is in my top 3.
The problem
Maybe
is, like,
4.
I think 10 could be worked to do it too.
4 could work. I wouldn't do 6.
Yeah, 4 is already kind of like a cartoon, right? It's a generic redemption arc.
Yeah.
Not to say it's bad, but it is just a generic redemption arc. Bad king, guy says no to bad king, goes and becomes
evil sorcerer,
rainbow-haired paladin, and
princess
beats
gets
a bad
kidnapped.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, 4 has all of that stuff too.
4 would be
Yeah,
good.
I'd go
Wouldn't do
4,
6, wouldn't do
5, or
7.
10.
4, 5, and 10.
Yeah, I don't think you do 7 because you've already done
Yeah.
like Advent Children, and
You think
you've already done all
You
that
think
stuff.
10's more geared toward kids than 9?
No, but I think it can. I think it could be geared towards kids more without sacrificing a ton of stuff that the older audience is going to like about those or want to see in those characters.
Yeah, I don't. I think 10 is one of the more mature ones, personally.
I mean, 9. They talk about suicide in 9.
I mean, you could just like not talk about that, but 10, the main character's dead the whole time. The main character's dead.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's cool. That's true too. 12 with Sky Pirates. That is like that is an adventure series waiting to happen.
I think 12 is more of a divisive title, though. 9's more well liked. But
Well,
I wonder if they're doing
what's funny
9.
is do you guys remember? It wasn't. Like it wasn't. It has grown to be more well liked.
I mean,
It
12
wasn't
12
when it
probably come
initially
up,
came
too.
out.
I think the re-release of 12 helped 12's like 12 a lot in the fans' eyes, but I think 12's still more like middle-ish. But yeah, you're right. 9 took some time, but I feel like 9's some people really, really. I don't know.
Yeah,
think
it's
it's in the top
Torchwick's
10.
favorite. Yeah, it's Torchwick's favorite. Final Fantasy IX. Anyway, well, let us know in the comments which Final Fantasy game. Hey, you could even take a spin-off, right? I don't think you do that for marketing reasons, right? You do want some recognition here because you want it to be an advertisement too. But if you want to take a spin-off, which one do you make an animated series targeting 8 to 13-year-olds? Let us know in the comments below. I filed this under say a lot without saying anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was really disappointed with this, guys. I mean, I made the show title have to do something last week with Final Fantasy XI's disappointing anniversary, and we waited. The 10th came. Nope. The 16th, the magic date, the actual date came. Nope. No big announcements on Final Fantasy XI. Then we saw that there was going to be a Reddit AMA, and we were like, okay, cool. Let's see what we get out of this because we knew what the big key questions were going to be. Like, what was the big surprise that you've been teasing for 2 damn years? Like, are you ever going to do this? Are you ever going to do that? And while I absolutely appreciate an AMA being done by producer Ashihiko Matsui and director Yoji Fujito, it didn't say anything. The best that I could hope for I guess, kind of happened. And that's where somebody obviously asked about a bundle subscription between Final Fantasy XI and Final Fantasy XIV. A couple extra bucks a month, you get access to both games. And that's what I've always said, look, that's like the best I'm hoping for out of this surprise announcement is that at this point. Like, my hopes are just so dashed and tempered that was the best I was hoping for. They did pick that to answer, and they just said, we would like to consider this for the future.
Aw.
So it's not off the table, but they're not ready to reveal anything about it. We would like to consider this for the future. Some other notable questions, right, were, can you ever get this damn thing off the spine of Play Online? The answer to that was no. Is it going to get, we're already talking, somebody said, hey, we're already talking about a graphic increase, engine increase in 14. What about 11? And they were like,
No.
we'd love to, but we'll have to examine funding on that. And unfortunately, that is what they said an awful lot. Here's somebody, if you're currently no plans, would you please consider requesting a bigger budget and dedicated engineers to replace the PS2 dev kits by creating new systems and a modern development environment for the game, and then migrate all existing data and assets? And they said, we would if we could, but considering how the game would need to be decoupled from Play Online, as well as all the data, format, and development tools overall, this would be no easy feat. We don't have any concrete plans right now. This is talking about a single-player version, another big question. We don't have any plans for that right now. Most of all, I'm worried that a Vanadiel without other players would be bland, like a beer that has lost its carbonation. There were some great in-game questions. I'm not really going to go through those because this, you have to be a Final Fantasy XI player or fan to appreciate things like asking if Tavnazia was ever going to be added as a playable zone and stuff like that. But there are some of those good questions in there if you're just interested in content. But every single system-related thing was we get reports on that, we'll investigate, and if it continues, we'll try to fix it. But it was literally how to say nothing by saying a lot, in my opinion, Tark.
Yeah, they haven't really done it with it. They've teased big reveals, and just 11's okay, it's had its time. I don't think it's going to get any more of a budget. I don't think they're going to be able to really do anything with it. So, say a lot to say nothing.
I mean, they did say before the interview, they did say that the game's not going anywhere anytime soon. Don't expect it to close down. It's not going away. And fine.
Yeah.
If it costs them almost nothing to run it and they're still making money off of it, then yeah, that makes sense why it would never go away. But eventually that can't continue, right? That has to stop at some point. Things either are going to break and they won't be able to fix them, or waning interest, the years tick by. I don't think you have a bigger strike point for something like this, Kronos, than your 20th anniversary. I think your shot came and went, and I feel like they're not doing anything with it besides some great fan service stuff. I can't argue. We Are Vanadiel has so much in it. You could spend days on that site looking at art, reading interviews, and it's fantastic. I'm not bitching about that. I'm talking about the game itself.
Yeah, I guess from outside looking in, I mean, this game's what? I mean, what is it? These are the 20th anniversary, right? So
20,
yeah,
20,
yeah.
I mean, and it's a PS2 game. I mean, I'm amazed that it's still going, personally. I know it has a following, and I know people really like it, and I'm sure
EverQuest is still going, for crying out loud.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's obviously enough subs to keep the lights on. I think that's probably what's happening. Because I think if they really wanted more people to play the game and they gave a crap, if it was free to play, I think a lot more people would play it. But I don't think they're ever gonna do that. We're talking about Square Enix, so
I honestly feel like at some point Vanadiel gets pulled into 14's canon at some point.
It's possible. But does that really appease 11 players?
Oh, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I feel like that's kind of where, because it would, and I'm sure Yoshi P kind of feels the same on, hey, it'd be a shame to lose all that store and lore and stuff. They didn't say no to that. They said that it wasn't in the plans right now. So they didn't say no.
14 can
And
whatever they want.
yeah, and they could do whatever they want whenever they want. We've already seen the crossover events, right? Like Shantoto coming and Thobris bringing that up.
Like,
Quest, yeah.
But maybe they and I'm not talking about pulling it into the game. I said pull it into the canon. Pull it into the canon.
oh, you're saying like it just takes place in the same like
They get
world.
one of the shards.
Right, or one of the shards represents it or something like that. I'm not talking about they implement it into the game, to call if that's where you thought. No, I said pull it into the canon.
Would 11 fans be mad at that though? Because then you have to like canonize it for 14, right? Because if it's a shard, right, that already like has implications. Yes, I mean,
if you do it that way, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of considerations, but I just feel like the stories were so good, man. It'd be very disappointing to just see them disappear. I don't know though. Like, what do you got to do something with it, right? I'm starting to feel like now, like the big announcement was going to be the mobile version, and then they ended up having to cancel it.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the same universe either. You can be pulled into the canon.
I hope it's good things for y'all, but my gut tells me like this is
It would be more emotional for me to see it shut down than
I
actually
totally
like,
get it.
oh my god, what am I gonna
like-
play? It's like
it's like
I
a big
jump
part of
in there,
life,
yeah.
right? Like,
I jump in there for a couple of weeks every few months. It's not anything I'm huge into playing. Hey, at one point, Final Fantasy XV was going to be made by the Eidos Montreal, the team behind Guardians of the Galaxy. Did you know that?
No clue about that.
That's weird.
Very interesting.
You kind of see
It
some
is.
similarity, honestly. If you play both.
Yeah. So former Eidos Montreal art director Jonathan Jacques Belletate was talking to True Achievements, and he said, Eidos Montreal brought back Deus Ex. I was the art director on that, Deus Ex Human Revolution. Then I was the executive art director on Mankind Divided. Then we tried to do Final Fantasy 15. Then Square Enix decided to bring 15 back to Japan, which I think was a big mistake, but it's still the truth. Ours was really, really cool. Now, that part's pretty easy to say. It's really easy to say, hey, our version for 15 was really, really cool, and I think Square made a mistake. And then not offer any details, which is exactly what happened. He did not go into their vision for what 15 would have looked like at all. It was just very, Tark, trust me. Trust me. It would have been amazing. It would have been amazing.
Anytime a movie actor is on the press junket and they're like, oh, our movie's the best. It's the greatest story ever. It's like, okay, yeah, you have to say that. You can't say, yeah, we were trying Final Fantasy 15. It was garbage. Oh, I'm glad they took it back. No, you hype up what you're creating for future projects. And now that they're cut from Square, it's like it's not, they're not going to fire me or anything. Something with someone else.
Right. Exactly. Dude, it would have been the best. It would have been the best. It was amazing, Kronos. Just take my word for it. It was amazing.
A Final Fantasy, though, real quick, being a proper Final Fantasy being done outside of Square proper, that's never happened though, right? Would that have been the first?
I remember that they did start 15, like when 15 went through some development hell, and there was a point where it was being worked on by another developer. Same with 7 Remake. We don't know who it was.
That's true.
7 Remake had a couple different outsourced stuff before Square brought it back in. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. You can see some similarities though. Like if you played both games, I could see it. I wouldn't be surprised if they just took a lot of stuff they did in their version and just turned it into Guardians. Because that game came out of nowhere, man. Like,
yeah, it did.
It was like no one knew what it was, and then all of a sudden it's like, here's 30-minute trailers. Like,
YOLO launch. Another rumor we got is that Forspoken might be looking at another delay, gentlemen.
Just dumb.
Was supposed to release in May, was delayed till October, and now the rumor is we could see yet another delay to Forspoken. This one coming from game industry insider Nick Baker. But the reason behind this delay might not be what you think. It might not be that the game needs more time or needs more testing or polish or whatever. Square Enix is rumored that they may end up looking into delaying Forspoken once again if it can find a way to release Final Fantasy XVI in this calendar year, as in the next 6 months. Now, we don't have a launch window for 16 right now at all. In fact, we're going to be getting a trailer soon, probably the week of the Summer Games show, the second week of June, so we'll be on the lookout for that. We know it's ready. We know Yoshi P has said the game is just about finished. So if Square Enix can find a way to release it, the rumor is, if you can get it out this year, we delay Forspoken in favor of Final Fantasy XVI. Now, obviously, gents, I think it makes total sense to get these two titles away from each other. Which, regardless of whichever one you release first, you have to get Forspoken away from Final Fantasy XVI. You have to. I don't think if these launch too close, Forspoken's just gonna get shot in the head. Like it's gonna hurt. Yeah. So I already agree that you do have to space these two out. And let's say, what do you guys think? A good space out is 5 months,
November.
4 months, 6 months. But I'm talking about between the two games.
I think it's early October for Forspoken. I think you could leave it there and do end of November, and then you still get that Christmas holiday rush on it.
You're thinking,
but
1 month between.
But what I'm asking is 1 month, 6 weeks between those two titles. Is that enough of a gap? Yeah. Maybe you think it is. I don't know.
By then, I'll be done with Forspoken by then, and then pick up 16.
I think you need to go at least like 3. If not more.
I think 4 is the minimum.
Yeah, I think you want to get those away.
I'll tell you right now, if these came out on the same day, obviously, I would not buy this game. not a chance.
If I had to pick, I would pick 16 over Forspoken.
And I'll also be like, the Square's been really weird lately about showing us stuff, to be honest. And the hype for me for this game is slowly keeps dying down. It's not Babylon's Fall. Let me just get that out the way. It's definitely not that. Mm-hmm. But like I'm still interested in this game, but my interest is like waning. And I think if it gets delayed again, it'll wane even more. And if it did come out at the same time, I probably would just like not play this game for months. Personally, I mean I'm a Final Fantasy fan first, then a Square fan.
Right. So I have to appreciate, and I think we all have to appreciate that if you are on this show or you are watching this show, you are probably more of a Square Enix or a Final Fantasy fan person than your average person. And if you have the income to be able to do so, you probably look and say, well, I'm going to buy both. It doesn't matter to me when the hell they come out, right? Yes, there is a segment of that population. We fit in that population, most of us. You know, I'm going to buy both of these if they did come out the same day. It means Forspoken's probably going to sit on my shelf for a while.
Yeah.
But I would, Tark, I'm with you. You put them out the same day, fine. But that's a very privileged position to be in. And that's not the general position of somebody that buys a $60, $70 video game and then maybe doesn't buy another one for 2 or 3 months just because that's the thing they bought. They're going to sit there and enjoy it. They're not going to spend extra money right now. That's why I go with you got to put a couple of months. So here's the thing. I don't have any problem with getting these two titles away from each other. That makes sense to me. I don't even necessarily have a problem saying, hey, if Final Fantasy XVI is ready, we lead with that. Like that just makes sense to me from a business sense. If it's ready and we want to space these guys out, I don't want Forspoken coming in October and then I'm basically launching Final Fantasy XVI in January or February and I've missed the holiday season. I'd rather have 16 go into the holiday season and let's have Forspoken pick up to the Q1 sales. That totally makes sense to me. What I'm worried about is that this is a smokescreen. Kronos, to kind of what you were getting on, I'm worried that this might be a smokescreen for we have to delay Forspoken again. It's not
See?
ready. It needs more
It's a
testing.
feeler. It's a feeler thing out
It's
there.
a feeler. But if we say, hey, we're delaying it because we want to give you 16 first, then you don't necessarily question the quality of the Forspoken product. And maybe that's total bullshit and I'm speculating, but I do have a concern that that could potentially be the case.
Yeah, I think it could be. I think it does still hurt Forspoken in that instance though too, because I think if you're I don't know, because like I think most people that are like Square fans again are Final Fantasy fans. I think that's like a big encompassing part of their
Oh, yeah.
fan
And
base.
remember, 16 doesn't have a release date, so
So
you're not obliged to do anything right now. There is no delaying
and
16 because we don't have a date for it.
well, there's also like if you're not a Final Fantasy XIV player, like what Final Fantasy stuff are you playing right now? So like if you're like a Square Enix but more of a Final Fantasy fan, you might have been looking
Right.
forward to this. But let's say Final Fantasy now comes out in October and then this gets pushed to January. I feel like a lot of those people end up not buying this game because they're
Maybe.
satisfied now because I got my 16. I'm gonna play that 3 times or however many times, and then this just sits on the shelf. That's what I worry about because honestly,
And
that's where my mind is.
full disclosure, again, this is a rumor. This is a
Right.
rumor. We are speculating over a rumor. It is not anything that's confirmed or anything like that yet. So I don't know. We'll see. Oh, yeah, I mean, you mentioned Babylon's Fall. Did you see? I didn't put it in the show notes, but I guess I'll throw it in here if you guys didn't see it. Babylon's Fall is extending their next season for 3 months while they reevaluate their future roadmap.
For their
It has a
one player.
roadmap. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, they had a concurrent one player at one point. That's got to feel real bad.
And it was a developer.
Yep. Also on the way, we talked about the 35th anniversary of Final Fantasy. We talked about the 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy XI. We also have the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII. We are slated to be getting some Final Fantasy VII news next month. Square Enix recently suggested it would release new games this year with a Final Fantasy XVI trailer and information on the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII next month. Now, to be clear, that's according to director Tetsuya Nomura, who shared the news during a Japanese live stream, and that live stream was actually focused on Final Fantasy VII, the First Soldier Battle Royale game.
Mm-hmm.
He did not say Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Correct.
We would be getting news there. And I don't understand what it... Okay, so okay. I just saw your addition to the show notes, which already is what I'm already covering here. Okay, so it's not necessarily 7 Remake. I can read the article that I put there. But maybe. I mean, it'd be nice. Tark, you seem dubious.
Yeah, I'm like 90% sure they're going to talk more about Ever Crisis, which, according to Cyber Agent's financials that they released, that they have this scheduled and slated for the end of their fiscal year, which ends at the end of September. So if we're talking June, that means 3 months. They got to get some information out on this mobile game and what it's going to look like, what it's going to be. It's one of their key mobile pieces. First Soldier. I think that's what this is going to be mostly about.
Stay tuned. Of course, we will bring all of the revealed information on to the show. Let's head over to Love It or Leave It. Love It or Leave It is the way we end every episode of the Relic Grind here. It's where I give you something Square Enix related. Could be a game, could be a feature, a press release, something they've done, something they've said, or anything I want. And you tell me whether you love it, want more of it, or leave it. Now, I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, are you loving a Forspoken Delay in favor of Final Fantasy XVI, or does this not feel right and you want to leave it? Kronos, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I kind of said it before, but I'm a Final Fantasy fan first. So even if it like makes me lose interest in Forspoken, I will always take the Final Fantasy sooner. So I'm gonna say love it because theoretically it allows me to play 16 sooner than it would otherwise. So
Yeah, I have a hard time going against you there. I love it for the greedy, selfish reasons of wanting to play 16. But there is also that like question mark in my head, like, is 16 truly ready? Like, don't rush it out the door because you'd rather it sell for the holidays than Forspoken. If it's ready, cool. I love it. If it's ready. Tark?
I'm going to leave it because this would be the third delay. We're getting close to cyberpunk levels of delay here. Like, because it originally was supposed to be February of this year, and then they got pushed to May, and that was a good call because of Elden Ring.
Well, wait.
More
No,
polished.
it wasn't delayed from February to May. That was the
Yes.
rumored release was going to be in January, February. That wasn't a date they gave. That was not a date Square gave.
I'm pretty sure one of their initial trailers was like February or January 2022.
We shall see. So 2 love it's and 1 leave it.
Yeah.
We'll be back
I
next
play
week.
This game. I'm excited for Forspoken.
I gotta be honest. I'm with Kronos. Like, the longer this goes, the less I'm interested in it.
I'm just being honest, man.
I feel the same way. Like, I'm still gonna play it. But I am like losing interest in it as we go on. We'll see. Gents, good show. We'll be back next Thursday, of course, 7 p.m. Eastern with another episode of the Relic Grind. Don't miss Gaming Gumbo on Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, where we wrap up the week of gaming. Of course, we have the Always Online podcast over on mmobomb.com tomorrow. That's twitch.tv/mmobomb at 1 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about all things multiplayer. And we've got a great segment tomorrow on News of the Stupid. There are a ton of games doing really stupid things this week that we've reported about, so we'll talk about it all there. Until next time, Kronos, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, same as always, Twitter. Probably going to be tweeting about the Obi-Wan show that comes out tomorrow and maybe our pro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. Tark.
Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at Tarkoff Gaming. Come hang out and watch me wipe many times on the ultimate rating.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at MagicMan1, but more importantly, follow at RC Raideo, Raideo on Twitter, and you'll know every time we go live with a podcast or one of our volunteer streamers. Until next time, gang, stay safe, and we'll see you on the servers. Later.